With 1 day to go until the release of the Rhinar and Dorinthea classic battles, it seems we're gonna need a plumber because there's been some leaks. So now that we've got the deck lists, let's take a look through all of the cards that make up this slightly controversial release. Anyways, before we get into the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. We talk about all things Flesh and Blood here, including spoilers, deck reviews, different just things to do with the community, just Flesh and Blood in general. Anyways, let's get into the video. So in the interest of time, what we'll do is we'll go through every card in the list, but we'll only mention the cards that are reprints from currently released sets, and we'll focus a wee bit more on the cards that are new to the Dorinthea and Rhinar classic battles. So let's cover the Dorinthea deck first. So the first card is the Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy Hero card. So Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy's hero text reads, the first time Dawnblade Resplendent gains go again each turn, you may attack an additional time with it this turn. So I think that's kind of strange that it mentions Dawnblade Resplendent. This kind of makes Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy not that useful when it comes to any other weapon. You're kind of tied only into using the new Dawnblade. But hey, who knows? There's probably some really good warrior players out there who could do something with this. Anyways, on to the weapon. So the Dawnblade Resplendent is the sword that Dorinthea is going to be wielding whenever she's fighting seemingly only Rhinar at this point. But it is a two-handed sword warrior weapon that has a once per turn action that costs 1 resource that says the second time you attack with Dawnblade each turn, it gains +1 until end of turn. Okay, I mean, the current Dawnblade that we have is much better considering that it can gain its +1 counters and retain them. That's kind of the fear of playing against Dorinthea, is that she'll build up a bunch of +1 counters and her sword is coming in for ridiculous amounts of damage. But yeah, Dawnblade Resplendent just kind of adds +1 the second time you attack with it, and it seems that the attack reactions are what's going to be needed here to push it. Now, I do understand that this is geared towards new players, and I did give my thoughts on that in the video up here. So I can see a sword with kind of runaway power potential like the current Dawnblade that we have maybe not fitting well into this deck, but at the same time, it costs nothing to replace it. It just means that Dorinthea's hero ability becomes useless. Anyways, let's move on to the equipment that Dorinthea is going to be using in the classic battle set. So Dorinthea only has 1 new piece of gear in this set. She's going to be using the Ironrot Helm from Welcome to Wrath, the Gallantry Gold from Monarch, the Ironrot Legs from Welcome to Wrath, and the brand new Blossom of Spring, the card that was announced in the June Armory set. But the Blossom of Spring is a generic chest equipment that has an action that says destroy Blossom of Spring and gain 1 resource with go again. So I talked about this before in the video that should be popping up here right about now, and it is kind of a budget spring tunic. It's a spring tunic that you can only use on your own turn, gains you 1 resource, but hey, this could see some play in commoner decks, I would say, because it's common and it does what a tunic does. But I think that this is a pretty generic loadout for Dorinthea. I don't see anything special, nothing crazy in here. Yeah, some equipment. Anyways, each of the heroes in the classic battle set come with their own brand new mentor card, which didn't see a lot of play before. I still am convinced that Sutcliffe's Head is good in Blitz Runeblade. But the brand new warrior mentor card is Hala Goldenheim, which says you may only have Hala in your deck if your hero was young. While Hala is face down in Arsenal at the start of your turn, you may turn her face up. While Hala is face up in Arsenal, whenever a sword attack you control hits, it gains go again and put a lesson counter on Hala. If there are 2 or more lesson counters on Hala, banish her, search your deck for a glistening steel blade, put it face up in Arsenal and shuffle. So essentially this just turbocharges Dorinthea. It just gives her sword go again a bunch of times, which will synergize, give the sword +1. It seems to be pretty kind of tailored exactly to this experience, which again, I think this might actually be good for new players, despite what I said in the last video, because this card will kind of allow the player to get used to seeing synergies between cards that turn on other cards' effects, and that's very important for a beginner. 50 pounds though, my goodness, it's just so much for this product. But where things start getting really spicy is the brand new Dorinthea specialization that the mentor card mentions, Glistening Steelblade. So Glistening Steelblade is a Dorinthea specialization that says your next Dawnblade attack this turn has go again. Whenever Dawnblade hits a hero this turn, put a +1 counter on it. This is something that kind of worries me a wee bit, because, oh well, for 2 reasons. One, this is only a one-off in this set, which means if anyone wants to get 3 of these to play Classic Constructed, they're gonna have to buy 3 of these sets at £150 total. My goodness. Also, just a little side note, it mentions that you would put a +1 counter on a Dawnblade when it hits. Not Dawnblade Resplendent, just Dawnblade. This, I think, could turbocharge some Dorinthea builds, because Dorinthea is all about getting that critical mass of +1 counters on Dawnblade, which means that the damage just gets insane and you can't block it. Once it gets to like 4 or 5, like 4 can be blocked by like Sync Belows or, you know, any of those like normal 0-cost defense reactions. But once you start getting to 5, now you're blocking 2 cards from hand, or maybe you have to dig and start paying for defense reactions. Not looking forward to dealing with that. However, I think that this card might be expensive for that reason, because it costs £50 to get if you buy the set. My goodness. Anyways, I think it's pretty good. Let's move on to all the other cards in the deck. We'll start with the reds, yellows, and blues. And as before, we'll only talk about the new cards. We'll just kind of glisten over the old cards that are already in there, because we know what they are. Anyways, the next new card we're going to talk about is a card called Un Garde, which is included as a 2-of in this deck. It is a 1-cost red that says your next weapon attack this turn gains +3. That's pretty good. I mean, +3 on a weapon. Yeah. I can't see Warriors complaining about that. I think there's other cards that are better, but in this deck, I think that's probably one of the better ones. Plus, it blocks for 3, which against Rhinar, you're going to want to block as much as you can, I suppose. So, moving on, we have 2 Second Swing red from Monarch, 2 Warriors Valor red from Welcome to Wrath, 2 Sharpened Steel red from Welcome to Wrath, and our next new card is 2 red Thrust. So, Thrust is a 1-cost red generic attack reaction that says target sword attack gains +3. Interesting, because this is generic. So, I don't know if any Rosetta Thorn users out there are gonna really enjoy this. It seems as though that every time that Legend Story Studios releases a product, either my Wizards get a buff or my Runeblades get a buff. Even in the Dorinthea and Rhinar set, it seems that my Runeblade side is getting it's getting looked after here for sure. But yeah, Thrust, target sword attack gains +3. Can't see why it wouldn't be a good idea to play around with this maybe as a Runeblade, just to kind of push the sword through. I mean, imagine Rosetta Thorn coming in for 2 and 2, and then you pop this bad boy down. I understand it is a worse Razor Reflex, so maybe I'm just kind of discovering now that this card isn't that good. Never mind. So just to round out the reds, we have 2 In the Swing red from Everfest, 2 Iron Song Response red from Welcome to Wrath, 2 Flock of the Featherwalkers red from Welcome to Wrath. Anyways, let's move on to the yellows in the deck. So starting off our yellows, we have 2 of a brand new card called Run Through. It is a 1-cost yellow that says target sword attack gains go again. Your next sword attack this turn gains +2. It's a warrior attack reaction. Lets you use your sword again, gives it +2. Suppose that synergizes so that the Dawnblade Resplendent also gets a +1 from itself. Yeah, that's pretty good. And also, it's one of the promos included in the June Armory set. So continuing on with the yellows, we have 2 Driving Blade yellow from Welcome to Wrath, 2 Slice and Dice yellow from Everfest, and our next new yellow in the Classic Battle set, On a Knife Edge. So On a Knife Edge is a 0-cost yellow generic action that says your next sword attack this turn gains go again. Oh, if I wasn't right about the Runeblade support before, I think this one might be spicy. So, 0-cost generic action, which means it turns on a bunch of non-attack action, attack action stuff that Runeblades like doing. It like fulfills the non-attack action criteria. But also, it pitches yellow, so if you have to pitch it, I mean, chain decks tend to not be too expensive, so pitching a yellow could kind of give you 2 resources that you need, but the next sword attack this turn gains go again. So I've seen some people talking about Rosetta Thorn, like you usually add it at the end. However, I was always a big advocate of throwing a Rosetta Thorn out in the middle of your combat chain if possible. The reason being is because if you can turn on the 2 arcane damage in Rosetta Thorn, you can make some really spicy combat chains. If you've got something like a Consuming Volition that like gets an extra effect if arcane damage has been dealt, dealing 1 source of 2 arcane damage in the middle of your combat chain to an opponent who only has 1 null rune. I mean, most people are only really packing 1 null rune against chain. I've seen some people be afraid and pack 2, but most of the time they just pack 1. This could guarantee that that arcane damage goes through and you can then move on to playing something like a Consuming Volition that now threatens the opponent to discard a card. Look, we're talking about Dorinthea and Rhinar, we're back to talking about Runeblades. I swear, every video that I'm going to make is going to come back to Wizard or Runeblades somehow, I swear. Anyways, but On a Knife Edge, if that is in a chain deck, you could play that bad boy down, and then your next sword attack gets go again, which means you can come in with an attack that has go again, or you can, create a soul shackle to give an attack go again. Then you come in with your Rosetta Thorn for 2 and 2, and then you close out with a massive attack at the end. I think that this card could actually be a staple, maybe. I don't want to go that far in chain decks, but at least it's going to be interesting to try out. It's a common, so it works in commoner. Thank you very much, Dorinthea and Rhinar Classic Battles. But yeah, if I'm buying any singles from this, On a Knife Edge is one I'm going to be buying 3 of, just to see if it works in chain. Anyways, just to round out the yellows, the final yellows included in this deck are 2 yellow Out for Bloods from Crucible of War. Anyways, let's move on to the blues. So starting off the blues, we have 2 blue Hit and Run from Crucible of War, we have 2 Sigil of Solace blue from Welcome to Wrath, and we have 3 brand new blue cards, as well as my favorite brand new card of all time. So first, we have Visit the Blacksmith, a 0 cost blue, which says your next sword attack this turn gains +1. Again, it's a generic action. Don't think this one's going to be as cool in the Runeblade decks. Hey, I just realized you can use these off Spellbound Creepers. My goodness, right. So that's my call. If you are a Runeblade player, you gotta pick up Classic Battles Rhinar versus Dorinthea. You could use this off Spellbound Creepers in a chain build and then drop this. Like, you could come in with a non-attack action and attack action. In fact, the non-attack action could even be the On the Knife Edge from earlier. Then you could pay for your Spellbound Creepers, play Visit the Blacksmith to buff your sword, and now it has go again, so you get your action point back. You come in with Rosetta Thorn, which now comes in for 3, 2 Arcane, and go again. My goodness, this is so much fun. Even I know that this is probably not like super competitive, but my goodness, Runeblades are really getting sorted out in this non-Runeblade product. Anyways, let's move on. I don't think we're going to find any more Runeblade craziness on here. The next blue card that we get are 2 Blade Flashes. So Blade Flash is a 1 cost blue generic attack reaction that gives target sword attack go again. Man, why are these all generic? These are just built around Rosetta Thorn at this point. Oh my goodness. Yeah, where's my pre-order? I gotta pre-order this bad boy straight away. Anyways, we can't be 3 for 3 on blues. They're blues as well, which means they're gonna be great in chain, because if you pitch a blue, you can do an entire turn. Anyways, well, this isn't about Runeblade. This video is getting derailed. So let's move on to the next brand new blue, which is Toughen Up. So Toughen Up is a generic defense reaction. It's a 2 cost blue that defends for 4. I think that the only thing good about this is that it's a blue. I mean, a Sink Below would probably be nice here, but in saying that, I understand that there are going to be some cards on here for new players. I suppose I have to temper my expectations. But yeah, it's a generic defense reaction. I suppose it's important to have defense reactions in this deck, because if it is geared towards new players, then new players are gonna have to get the experience of using attack reactions, defense reactions, attacks, defend them with cards. You can even see from the flavor text, defense reactions can be played from hand or arsenal to defend. Toughen Up costs 2 to play, so obviously that's geared towards new players. Yeah, this is a new player card. I don't see it getting much use outside of this. And finally, my favorite card in the set, no joke, is the Titanium Bauble. So let me sidetrack just for like 10 seconds. One of the things that I really enjoy in card games are cards that are jank that get premium treatment. So for example, the Christmas Cracked Bauble in cold foil, absolutely love getting a cold foil cracked bauble. The rainbow foil baubles from Crucible of War, absolutely love getting rainbow foil baubles. I don't know what it is, I just love getting jank in with the premium treatment. Titanium Bauble, please give me a cold foil Titanium Bauble. It is a generic resource. It's just like a cracked bauble, except this one defends for 3, which is quite nice. I don't see it having any use outside of these decks, which is why I need it as a cold foil. Hopefully we get some weird crazy like armory kit after this. I don't think we will, but yeah, I'd love a cold foil Titanium Bauble, please. Also, for any lore heads out there, do you think that the Titanium Bauble is the precursor to the Cracked Bauble? Maybe it got cracked, because as we see, the Cracked Bauble gets more cracked as time goes on, but since these classic battles are set in the past, then the Cracked Bauble would be less cracked, meaning it would just be a bauble. Is it the Titanium Bauble? What's inside the Titanium? I don't even know. Let's move on to Rhinar. So Rhinar, I don't think this is going to have as much Runeblade support, but Who knows? So Rhinar says whenever you discard a card with 6 or more attack during your action phase, intimidate. So yeah, this is just the Rhinar that we kind of know and love. He's just going to be intimidating cards out of Dorinthea's hand, who's then going to be coming back with loads of cards. So Rhinar's new weapon is a club called the Bone Basher. Bone Basher, as simple as it gets, it is a once per turn action that does 4 damage and costs 2 resources. It's not doing anything special. It doesn't have go again. Essentially, I think that this is just if you have some resources lying around, just swing with it. If you've defended too much and you just need to hit Dorinthea, then yeah, cool. I don't really see it getting much use outside of this, but again, I am not a Rhinar main. I think I've only played him a few times in like an Intimidate meme Blitz build. So let's move on to the equipment for Rhinar. Rhinar runs the Ironhide Gauntlet from Monarch and the Ironhide Legs from Monarch. I'm not sure why it was Ironhide over the Iron Rot, but I suppose he has more resources. But he has 2 new pieces of equipment. One, the Blossom of Spring, which was that tunic card that we talked about earlier, and also the Bone Vizier. I hope it's called Bone Vizier because it's really fun to say and I want to say it more. But the Bone Vizier is a brute equipment which says when Bone Vizier is destroyed, reveal the top card of your deck. If it has 6 or more attack, put it on top of your deck, otherwise put it on the bottom. Strange, because the only way to destroy it is by defending with it, so really what you're going to do is defend with Bone Vizier, and then you're going to get that kind of sort of opt where you look at the top and see if it's an attack that you like. Suppose it could set up, an Intimidate for the next turn if you've got something that discards. Yeah, in this deck I think that this is okay. There are better brute head pieces out there, but I think without overcomplicating things, yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the deck itself. The same as we did with Dorinthea, we're going to start with the Mentor card, which is Chief Rukutan. Man, I need to start playing more Brute because these words are so fun to say. So Chief Rukutan says, while Rukutan is face down in Arsenal at the start of your turn, you may turn him face up. While Rukutan is face up in Arsenal, whenever you play a card with 6 or more attack, intimidate, and put a lesson counter on him if there are 2 or more lesson counters on Rukutan, banish him, search your deck for Alpha Rampage, put it face up in Arsenal, and shuffle. Very specific to this deck. It's nice that you'll get the Intimidate off the attack. Also as well, it says whenever you play a card with 6 or more, which means that it's before the card resolves, so whenever you play the attack, your opponent will have to do the Intimidate, which gives them 1 less card in hand. They deal with that attack. If it's a 6 or more attack, you're intimidating already, so they're down to 3 cards in hand, meaning that that's, they'll have to defend with at least 2 if they want to fully block it out. That's pretty good. You'll get 2 of those and then search for an Alpha Rampage, which is kind of a spoiler because, yeah, the Majestic in this is Alpha Rampage, just a reprint from Welcome to Wrath. I was honestly expecting something a bit more. I mean, both Alpha Rampage, Welcome to Wrath, and History Pack are both around 90 pence at the moment, so like under a pound. What's that, like just over $1? Yeah, genuinely I was expecting a bit more, but I suppose Alpha Rampage isn't a bad card. So let's move on to the reds. We'll go through them in, I don't know what order this is, but we'll go through them anyway. Starting with a brand new card, Beast Mode. So there are 2 Beast Mode reds included in this deck. It is a 3-cost red that says if you have intimidated this turn, Beast Mode gains +2, which is a 6 power attack base. So if you have Rakatan in your arsenal and you attack with this, like as soon as you play it, you'll get the Intimidate off Rakatan, which immediately then will trigger this saying if you've intimidated this turn, Beast Mode gains +2. So this then is coming in for 8. Man, Beast Mode's not that bad. I mean, I imagine because of the Intimidate beforehand, there's plenty of ways of just intimidating as Rhinar. You could play, there's a bunch of non-attack actions that give your next attack +3 plus Intimidate, so this could be coming in for like 11. Yeah, I think this card might have some legs, who knows, but again, I'm not a massive Rhinar player, so let me know if you think that this might actually see some play outside of the classic battle set. But moving on anyway, through the reds, we have 2 Pack Hunt Red from Welcome to Wrath, 2 Bear Fangs Red from Everfest, 2 Wild Ride from Everfest, 2 Awakening Bellow Red from Welcome to Wrath, and the last red is a new card called Wrecking Ball. So the deck has 2 Wrecking Balls, which is a 3-cost red that says when you attack with Wrecking Ball, draw a card, then discard a random card. If a card with 6 or more attack is discarded this way, then Intimidate. This seems to be a pretty standard kind of thing that people do with Rhinar, is to like draw a card, discard a random card or whatever, and Intimidate accordingly. The best thing is that off Rhinar's ability, you're actually going to get the Intimidate twice, which is pretty good. So you're immediately going to be coming in for 6 attack, and that's, you know, they're only going to have 2 cards. If you actually hit the discard, they're only going to have 2 cards to defend with off a full hand, which is fantastic. This is also the LGS promo that's being given away in the June Armory set, which is pretty cool. But anyways, let's move on to the yellows. So starting the yellow list, we have a brand new card called Pack Call. So this deck has 2 of these cards, which are a 3-cost yellow, which say when you defend with Pack Call, reveal the top card of your deck. If it has 6 or more attack, put it on top of your deck, otherwise put it on the bottom. So again, this kind of has the same effect as the Bon Vizier, which again just allows you to have that like little opt thing that you do to check if that has a 6-power attack on top. Could set up your next turn if you're going to be using a card like Awakening Bellow. So yeah, this will work really well within this deck. I don't know if it has, again, much use outside of the Classic Battle set, but hey, I mean, it works well within the deck. So moving on, we have 2 Smash Instinct Yellow from Welcome to Wrath, 2 Smash with Big Tree Yellow from Monarch, and the next new card, which is Muscle Mutt. So Muscle Mutt, not really much to say here. It is a 3-cost yellow that attacks for 6 and defends for 2. That's pretty much it. If you're going to discard any 6-power card in this to start intimidating, I think that this is the one that you would probably hope would come off the top, because it has a blank text box. Whenever I have the flavor text, I really like flavor text in cards. Really lets me get into the game. But yeah, doesn't really have a lot of flavor text, So rounding out the yellows, we have 3 cards that we've already seen before. We have 2 Raging Onslaught Yellow from Welcome to Wrath, 2 Wounded Bull Yellow from Welcome to Wrath, and 2 Barraging Beatdown Yellow from Welcome to Wrath. Anyways, on to the blues. There are 3 brand new cards in the blues section. So we'll go through the 3 that are not new first. We have 2 Rally the Rearguard Blue from Monarch, 2 Wrecker Romp Blue from Welcome to Wrath, and 2 Come to Fight Blue from Arcane Rising. As far as I'm aware, the only Arcane Rising cards that are in this Classic Battle set. So moving on to the new cards in the blues, we have, of course, the Titanium Bauble. Give me that cold foil, Legend Story Studios. Hit me up. And the second new card we have is called Clearing Bellow, which is a 0-cost blue brute action, which just says Intimidate with Go Again. Yeah, it's just a straight up Intimidate. There are better cards out there that will Intimidate whilst also giving your attacks a buff, but yeah, I think maybe the design behind this is to try and make it simpler for new players, maybe get them used to the Intimidate mechanic. Anyways, on to the final brand new card in this Classic Battle set, which is a blue card called Dodge. And again, same as the end of the Dorinthea deck, it is a 0-cost blue defense reaction, which defends for 2. As far as defense reactions go, there are many better defense reactions than this out there. Replacing this with a Sink Below, replacing this with a Fate Foreseen would be infinitely better than this. I mean, even a Springboard Somersault would be better if you're going for something that was included in a starter deck. Yeah, I don't think that this one is really that good at all. Anyways, there you have it. That is the full lineup from the Classic Battle set. Included, we also have a small lore book and a paper playmat. Is this worth £50? Do you really like Titanium Baubles that much? Is the Dorinthea specialization something that you would consider buying 3 of these boxes for? Now, as I said during this video as well, I am not a Rhinar or a Dorinthea player at all. I've maybe dabbled in the classes. I'm mostly a Wizard player and a Runeblade player. So if you like playing Brute or Warrior, I would love to hear from you down below. I will immediately submit to the fact that you know more than I do about this. So again, give me some advice down below as to whether or not these cards are good or bad, whether there's anything that could see play outside of these decks. I think that's what I'm most interested in. But yeah, and also, are you going to be picking this up? I would really like to hear some of your voices to try and help me through the confusion as to what this product actually is. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. As I said at the start, please consider subscribing to this channel. I talk about Flesh and Blood all the time. I talk about cards, I talk about deck reviews, I talk about leaks, spoilers, anything to do with Flesh and Blood, it's going to end up here at some point. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.